The Halo franchise has been around for a long time, even though the first book was published only months before Combat Evolved. That whole era was over 20 years ago. Since then, Halo has had a journey filled with many ups and downs, but overall, the franchise is more expanded than ever before, thanks to tons of books, games, and yes, even TV shows. Hi everyone, I'm Kiv, and today I wanted to share some ideas about why I think other development studios should be allowed to make Halo games as well. I also wanted to share some ideas on what these games could be about. So this is all with the aim of letting the franchise grow even more and allow the Halo community to get tons of even more good Halo stuff to enjoy. I'm also super happy because I can now finally say this. Let's roll the intro. Let's start off by talking about 343. Some people in the Halo community think that they should not be developing Halo titles anymore, while others say that they've done about as good as you could expect. I'm not here to focus on 343 as a studio, because if you ask people in the Halo community, you're gonna get a huge spectrum of answers, from love all the way through to strong, seething hate. So I don't feel as if it's my place to comment on that. So for the sake of simplicity, in this video, we are assuming that 343 will continue to develop the main Halo story. So the point of this video, and what I'm trying to say, is that I think different developers should be given a chance at covering other aspects of the Halo universe. This is because there are so many things that we haven't really been able to see or enjoy. This is possible because Big Daddy Microsoft is the one in charge of who makes Halo games, so having other teams involved with Halo is still possible as far as I understand. We could even see collaborations on games between different studios. A good example of this is Halo Wars 2, which had certain Affinity and 343 work together. So we know that something like this is possible, and it's happening again, because apparently certain Affinity is also working on Halo Infinite's Battle Royale. One of the benefits of having another developer make a Halo game is that they are fresh to the franchise, so they don't have a mixed reputation in the Halo community like 343. This means that new and old fans would probably both be willing to at least check out what another developer could make. That does leave us with a question though. If Microsoft was going to let other developers make Halo games, what do we want to see? I had a couple of thoughts on what I think would be a good idea, and actually, I managed to come up with 4 different game ideas that I think would be good options, and in the 1 in a billion chance that someone from a development team sees this video, then I really hope that I may have been able to inspire some kind of a difference for a video game. My first idea was very obviously an ODST sequel. There are lots of ways to do it, but as a fan favorite, I can see a game like this getting a lot of traction and delivering a grounded story, and just like the original, be filled to the brim with passion for the franchise. This would be amazing to have, and one of my mates, Leper Larden, made a great video about how this could be done. I recommend that you check it out and show him some love, because that man deserves to be a huge YouTuber. Another game I think would be really awesome to see is a Flood survival horror game. Some of you may already know a little bit about the lore behind this, but there is a short story that could be used as a reference for a game. The story is called The Mona Lisa, which is from Halo Evolutions, and it's about the crew from the UNSC ship Red Horse, which comes across a flood-infected UNSC ship called the Mona Lisa. It was adapted into a motion comic, and I highly recommend watching it. Having a game recreate similar feelings would be absolutely phenomenal. The reason why I came up with this idea is because we haven't actually fought the Flood properly for a long time in Halo, and I really want to see that back because it's a really awesome mix between cool moments and being kind of scary. So I just love that, and it would be really nice to see that dialed up to 11 in a game. You could even take this idea and just kind of flip it on its head by telling it from the perspective of an elite when the Flood is spreading through High Charity. I think this would be a really cool idea because you'd get to explore the different levels of what's inside the Covenant homeworld before it all comes crashing down, because the Flood are just spreading through the levels like wildfire. So I think that would be really interesting. For my third idea, I wanted to have something which kind of focuses a bit more on the space battles that we see in the Halo books. And aside from Long Night of Solace, we don't really see this as a big focus in the games. So I know that it's a bit rough, but here's my idea. You are a Spartan 4 and a qualified Saber pilot, who, along with your squad and a UNSC frigate, are sent to replace a damaged ship from a recent banished attack on a human-controlled planet. However, when you arrive, it turns out that the banished attack was just a scouting fleet or something like that, just to test the defenses of the planet. And it's actually going to take everything the UNSC can muster in the area to defend the planet from a huge invading force. So essentially, I'm thinking that the battles and gameplay could be really interconnected, swapping between locations in the middle of a mission, where you can hop in your Saber and then take down a banished corvette and then realize it was dropping troops onto the ground. So you do a bombing run and then get out of your Saber to finish off any stragglers. So I think that would make for a pretty good campaign, and if you add a bit of razzle-dazzle in there, then you got a nice squad of likable Spartans, and there you go, bang, that's your side story sorted out, and that can kind of continue on its own, separate from the main Halo story. And if you also put in like a in-depth fighter combat system where you've got Seraphs versus Sabers and stuff like that, with banished pilots going up against UNSC pilots for the multiplayer, then I think that would definitely make for a pretty interesting Halo game. The last idea I had was to once again use some of the existing source material as a reference for a new game. This game would take place during the campaign on Harvest, with the UNSC and their first contact with the Covenant. Now, this is obviously based on the book Contact Harvest, which was actually written by Joe Staten himself, and it would follow a very similar line of the actual main story, with Sergeant Johnson as the main character putting down insurgents at the start, but then when the Covenant show up, everything goes sideways. I think this game would be a great explanation for his character, because he is very different to every other soldier that you'll come across in the UNSC, and I think that this game would be a great way to explain that to people, starting off with him as a ruthless Marine that just takes down insurgents, no questions asked. But after witnessing the Covenant slaughter civilians, children in terrifying ways, These experiences transform him into not only a grizzled veteran against the Covenant, but also someone who wants to focus on rallying humanity behind him, both insurgents and the UNSC, because he knows that the Covenant will not show any mercy, that there's no surrender, and that fighting back against impossible odds is all that they can do. So there you have it, everyone. 4 ideas for Halo games that I would love to see. While I don't have a huge audience, I would absolutely love it if you could share this video with other people if you think I had some good stuff. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and who knows, maybe we will see more Halo games in the future that tell different stories. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure that you subscribe. It's all part of the great journey, so join me. I've been Kiv, and I'll see you all on the next one.